Hey, Steve here. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about the My Saw cycle. This is the latest addition that we've added to the Saw new gen bot, and it's requested by quite a few of our clients that they love our stop at a winner feature, but wanted it to have more flexibility so they could put their own selections in, use different tab settings if they want to run multiple horses in races, etc. And so it was with that in mind that we've added, instead of making a new bot, we have added it into the new Gen Saw bot so that now you've got a lot more flexibility. But this tutorial will only be talking about the My Saw cycle. So this is a completely independent tab on the Saw New Gen, and it's over here on the right hand side, My Saw Cycle. Now you've got all the countries you can choose where you want to bet, and we have the staking tabs. Now, if we don't have the Mexican wave ticked, all bets, if tab one is available, that's where they'll be placed. So tab one is, you can see here, this is all the bets that have been placed today in tab one. And it's made 91 cents today. I'm only betting 10-cent target. Tab 2 has made 54 cents, so less races going to tab 2. Tab 3, we can see now that today we've only had 5 races go into tab 3, and that's made 14 cents. And tab 4 is down 13 cents, and tab 5 has only had 1 race. Now, why do we have these tabs? Well, obviously, because we're using stop at a winner, we must know the result of the race before the staking can be worked out for the next race. So if that happens, say you've got a horse racing, the race finishes, but there may be a dispute or the dividends haven't been declared or that, and then your second selection comes up. Well, if you only had tab one ticked, then that bet would not go on because there's no tabs available. So that's why I recommend, well, in this case, I'm using 2 horses every race for this test I've been doing. So I've allowed up to 7 tabs because if I have one race, it has 2 horses in, so that's tab 1 and tab 2 used. The race is maybe even delayed, so the next race comes along, so tab 3 and tab 4 will be used. And if the next race comes along, the third race, and these 2 races still haven't been declared, then I'm going to tab 5 and tab 6. You can have all 10 tabs clicked if you want to. I mean, depends if you're just doing black book of horses for your selections, or if you're using the first and second tips of each race, then you'll soon know. It'll come up in the log file that there is no tab available. Then you'll know that you'll have to increase your tabs. Okay, allow Mexican wave. We don't use this, but it basically means the bets would go from tab 1 to tab 2 to tab 3, right through to how many tabs you've got enabled, and then go back to tab 1 again. But we leave this unticked. Profit delta, I'm running at 2 cents profit delta, and I'm only using a 10-cent target. So I'm using about 20% of my target as a profit delta, and this is extra profit after our first loss. So if race one loses, our target will be in race 2 will be at my 10 pence or 10 cents, plus the stake that I lost, plus the extra profit delta added. So at the end of 5 races, I get a winner, then I'll have 8 cents of the profit will be from my profit delta, and then my 10-cent target. So 18 cents is profit, and then of course recovering the losses. Okay, we can do 2 bettings. So we can bet the win market and the place market. If we go into the place market, we must click what we want: 2 to be placed, 3 to be placed, 4 to be placed. Just a word of caution, if you're using this in the place market in Australia or New Zealand, South Africa, the minimum match, you must reduce that down to, 10, I'd say 1,000 Australian, so maybe 500 UK pounds or something. Just that the place markets during the week are pretty weak in some racing. Okay, we'll go back to win. So when we change to place, you're going to see here it's changing back now to the win market. I'll just show you again. If we go to place market, we see that my saw races change to be placed in the place market. And when this happens, you'll see, even if you've got no harness tick down here, you'll see harness racings appearing because Betfair don't make any differentiate where we can take out the pacing races. But that doesn't matter in the Sawgen, in the Mysore cycle, because you're actually picking the horses. If you don't pick any horses for, say, the Redcliffe race, then that won't be betting on it anyway. So we'll just flick this back to the win market, and you'll see it change back to the win market. Over here we have Mysore. These are the races, and these are the venues that, because of what we've ticked over here, these are the venues that are covering. So, okay, so we're in the win market now. This is where it becomes, this is where you can make your own selection. So if we go into race 4 here in Northern, then if we click on here, we can see here that all these horses here are indeed in the middle panel there that we can see. So we can pick our horses or horse individually, or we can use the favourites down to the 8th favourite if we want to go down that route. But you pick the horses. This is the advantage of having the saw cycle, is you can pick the horses that you want. Okay. And then we have a minimum and maximum price range for that horse. So in this case, I'm going from $1 up to 30. These are the odds ranges. Now, I've just left them at that, but you may decide that you've got selections, but you don't want to bet them unless the minimum you can get is $3 on it. So then you would change that to 3. Time to bet. We are betting pre-play, so we're betting before the match starts, before the race starts. You can bet in play if you wanted to, and we're betting 20 seconds before the off. You have the option of in play. If your bet is not accepted in that 20 seconds, you have the benefit of keeping the bet, so it will try and match the price as the race goes, or cancel the bet, or place it at SP. I use just the keep option. Then we have minimum amount of match. This is not so important when you're choosing your own horses, because you'll know if you're picking a very small race meeting, say at Longreach in Australia, where you may be battling to get much money matched, you can just change that down to $100 if you wanted to. It's just that when you're using some of the auto functions, that you may want to use a minimum match. And I put, if I'm doing Australian currency, I'd have 20,000, but keep in mind, if you change this to a place market, then you'd need to change this back down to 1,000 or something like that. Minimum price of the favourite. Now, you may not want your selection. Hang on, I'll just change that. So we just put a horse here. Like, you may not want to accept a bet, your selection's being bet in a race if the favourite is, say, $2 or less. That's what you can do here if you want to change the odds of the favourite, so that the favourite must be between the odds that you put in here, otherwise your bet won't go on. Then we have stop of the profit target. Well, as I said, I'm only targeting 10 cents a race while I test the software, make sure it's all working. But in the last, what have I been doing? About 4 hours, it's made $1.37. So on just a 10-cent target and a 2-cent profit delta, it's made $1.37, which is about the stake money involved. It's actually showing me 51% return on investment, and all I was using is the first two in the tipsters on a website, which I'll list below. Stop profit each tab. Well, these don't really relate that much to our source cycle, but these are if you wanted to put on all your selections for the day and then stop at a profit for the tab. So each tab, you might want to say, I want to stop if I make a $5 profit on tab 1, $5 profit on tab 2, then a $5 profit on each tab. Or you could say, on all tabs, you may have 4 or 5 tabs open. If all tabs equal $20 profit or £20 profit for the day, then don't want to bet anymore. If that was the case, then you would untick the continue. And once it got to $20 profit or whatever it was on all tabs that you've got ticked, then it would stop betting. Stop at a loss each tab. We've got there $5 because I'm only using a small there. So it depends on what you want to do. This is if you're losing. So if you're losing, say, $5 on tab 1, then you may choose to restart back at 10 cents or back at a dollar, whatever you're using. Or this is or then a loss of 8 counts. So if tab 1 has 8 losing bets, then if I leave 8 there, I'll change it to 10. But if I use 8 there, if I have 8 losing bets in that tab, then it will restart again at the target, which is 10 cents or $1 or whatever. So, and then we're allowing all non-handicap races and all handicap races. This only works in the win market because the place market, they don't define what is handicap and what is non-handicap. And if you want to use harness, well, if you click on that, it will bring up the harness races so that you can get access, obviously, to put your harness bets on. So that explains how this works. So we've got a clear cycle here. So if we want to clear all our targets and that and start back at your starting post, of, in my case, 10 cents, then you would click clear cycle and it would clear all that. So let's look at this race coming up here in Northern. The thing with this is you could open it in the day and put in your day's selections into this and just leave it be. Or you could do 2 or 3 races, watch them. If you wanted to watch the races, then put another 2 or 3 races on. So you can do it either that way, or you can put all your bets on at once and let the bot bet to the settings that you have and to your selections. Here's a typical day to day. See, these are all my results and they're all my saw ones. And you can see the prices that was matched, the staking, etc. That's the betfair number, the horses, and this is the tab. So you can see we have tab 1, 2, 1, 2, because I'm using 2 horses a race. So I'm going to automatically be using 2 tab. 3 and 4, 4 and 2, 1 and 1. So these 4 and 4 here were because races were delayed or protest or they were just late starting in the next race because there was a couple of meetings that were only 4 minutes apart. So we got to double up. So that's why we go into a new tab or a different tab instead of being on our 1. But our 1 tab, you can see most bets are in the 1 tab. Okay, so that's all the results today. Now, if I go to my saw bets, you can see over here, I've got 2 that these are the ones just settled, they're Townsville, but I've got 2 coming up here at Northern, 2 bets still active. All the rest are settled. This one's active because it never got placed. And same with ostracized for some reason, didn't get placed, whether it didn't meet some criteria. So we've got 2 active races. Let's have a look at 1452. So if we go to 1452 here, okay, so we got a Townsville race at 1512. So if we click the sort button, it brings it up from favourite down at this point, which is 27 minutes away. And there's 1,800 pounds, $1,800 in the market. This market will reflect your currency. So if you're in pounds, that would say 9,000 pounds. Okay. So let's look at this race here in Townsville, race 8. I'm getting my selections for this trial here from tabtouch.com, which is our TAB in my state. So if we go to this Townsville race here, I've just been looking at the commentators, Tony Rhodes, selections here. He's got number 6 and number 10. So that's all I've been looking at. So we've got Lean Eagle and that's it. So that would be the 2 horses. So I just open up, go back to Townsville. So I need to make sure I've clicked on Townsville race 8. and sort them again. So we come over here to 6, which is lean eagle, place my saw bet, done, and dealing done. Click on there, and that's it. The bets are placed now. Well, they're not placed. The bets now go into here, into being active. Okay, so there's no staking yet, and there's no odds yet, because this will not read the market until what we've got on there, 20 seconds. So this won't read that market, this race, for another 25 minutes and 24 seconds before it places these bets. So a lot's going to happen in that period of time. Okay, so that is how quick it is to place a bet using the Saw New Gen My Saw Cycle. As I said, you can pick the countries that you want up here. If I add another country, then it will come into here. My saw is only utilizing these two tabs here. If we want to reload, now we can see we've got races back here. If I click on reload saw, these races will reload every hour, but if I click reload now, you can see that this race here is only like 6 minutes away. The older races get knocked off, but every hour it refreshes and knocks off the old races. Why would you want to use reload my saw? If you're watching the races and there's, say, a race has been put back or delayed or that, and then the whole card gets delayed, then rather than waiting an hour for the automatic reload, you can just click on reload my saw. All these other reload buttons here are to do with our other programs that are within the same bot and are not covered in this tutorial. There's other tutorials on the guide where you're watching this that will cover these other headings at the top, these other bots. So although we've got the one bot here, it essentially has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has 8 mini bots that are in this one bot. Okay, so very powerful, and they all run independent. So you could be running laying, you could be running Dutching, and you could be running your My Saw Cycle, and they all run within this one bot. Okay, so it's a very, very powerful bot, and it is for horse racing, and you can do harness and gallops. Okay, I think that just about covers everything for this bot of the new Saw New Gen. I'll put up a couple of strategies that I've been using, but I just want to test it a little bit longer. But thanks for purchasing the bot, and we wish you all the luck, and we'd love to hear how you go with it. Thank you.